Guys, we're back. I had some people asking what thinner I use for this painting, and I wanted to show you real quick. You can find this at Hobby Lobby, and I'm sure you could probably order it from other craft stores. But as you can see, it's not very expensive. It was only 10 bucks. And sometimes you can get them even cheaper than that if they've got their artist supplies on sale. And I put it in a little ketchup bottle-y thing, because I can control the amount that I use better. I always dribble, so give me just a minute here. Alrighty. Oh, my table's a mess. Sorry about that. We are going to blush today, and blushing is one of my favorite things to do. And I use red. I love the Genesis red. I use it for just about any kind of reds and purples that I can come up with for all my modeling layers. Okay, I was going to use this one, but I did find my dark red, and I wanted to show you the difference. Hopefully you can see it. So, this one is, I think this is crimson, and that's the dark red. But one of them is brighter, and one of them is, there you go, you can see a little better. This one's a bit brighter, and then this one's a bit deeper. It looks like it's got some brown in there. Okay, so that's the difference in those. And it really depends on what you're going for, if you want it brighter, like a deep brighter color, or just, you know, just a dark color. And you can always add just a little bit of burnt umber to your reds, and I think that's too dark, so give me just a minute here. Transfer some over. I can use that for lips, so I'm not wasting it. I got it too dark. I was too busy talking and I wasn't paying attention. I got it a little dark. Okay, so I will lighten it up a little bit here with some thinner. Alrighty, as you can see, it's pretty thin. I don't want any pigments all chunking up in the paint. I did blush it earlier. I blushed Leo, and I noticed that when I was doing him, I had some little chunky pigments, and he looked like coffee grinds, gritty, and you don't want that. So make sure I clean out my brush so I don't have the pigments floating in there. We'll go ahead and do Winnie first. So I'm going to take some here. Oh, I should be able to see it a little better. Okay, zoomed in for you guys. You're gonna, I need to get a little darker than that. Let me see. Makeup brush, pouncety pounce. Try to keep it just on the fingertips if possible. It's pretty light, it's more like a wash. And I'm going to go up to that first knuckle there, right next to the nail bed. See a little bit of a difference. I'm sorry, I was watching a video and it was making a lot of noise and my dogs are freaking out. They probably think somebody's here. Truck just went by. They're excitable. And just a little bit more to this guy. Or her. Her. Winnie's a her. Okay. Now I'm going to leave it on the nail just because I want the nail to have some color. So it's not just blah. And I'm manipulating the hand so I can pounce between the fingers. A little bit more on there. Try to go light on your pouncing so it doesn't take up too much of the paint. Okay. There's a little color there. It's hard to see, but we want to go light so that the layers are lighter and it looks more natural. And if you notice that your paint has grit, you need to add more thinner. I'm going to go across the entire hand, right underneath the fingers, and right there on the outside. Fleshy parts towards the outside of the thumb. I usually put just a little bit right in there between the thumb and the finger. And then you want to put some outside of the hand. Just a little bit where you see the creases. And then you want to make sure, especially if you're doing the toes, you want to make sure you don't have any paint that's pulled in the creases. I usually don't have a problem with the hands, especially when they're open, but I'm going to hit those creases in the wrist. That just gives her a little bit more color and makes her look like she's got good blood flow under the skin. And then a little bit on the elbow for the same reason. Next hand. Yes, you will definitely bake that before you add more. Don't add any mottling after that. You want to make sure you bake it so that it doesn't get disturbed. Otherwise you're going to end up with spots that held the paint and spots that didn't. And when I'm using this brush to pounce it on, it's going to pounce it on the nail. So I don't have to actually paint on the nail. And if it's thin enough, did I just bump that? You can go over it twice. As you can see, I did not get the blue out very well in my crease, but I think I'm able to wipe it some. I can't remember if I baked it between creases or not. I don't think I did. Phew. Lucky me. I'm not going to end up with a blue streak. Make sure you pay attention to your creases. Don't be like me and go in a hurry. Oof. Man, I was lucky. Make sure I get down in there. Going to go just underneath there where the fingers are, because by the time I use my brush to pounce it, it's going to go a little bit further than just underneath the nails anyway. Okay, you see the crease line? I only want to use this one because it's up underneath and I can't reach it very well with the other brush. part. Alrighty. I'm going to put some in the wrist, creases of the wrist. And you would do this with your ethnic babies too. And if they are dark ethnic babies, you would use the darker color, like your flesh color. They should be darker than the actual skin. If they're ethnic babies, you want them the dark color for their skin, but it'll make it thicker, and then you just keep adding it into the creases to darken the creases. And you would also do like here, so everything is darker. But if it is a biracial baby, you can use the purpley crease color that I normally mix up for those. Okay, so I'll put a little bit on the hand. Now you can blush the knuckles. I'm not gonna, well, I guess I could blush the knuckles, my bad. I'll have to do it on the other end too. So I'll put some on the knuckles. It doesn't really matter when you do this. You can do it the next time. I never worry about those knuckles. But you can put it on there if you want. And then she's got a little bit of an indentation there. So the next time we crease, we're going to make sure we hit those knuckles. And that will definitely help. Let me go back and get these guys. But usually it's the creases that make these look better than what I'm doing right now. And I think I forgot the thumb, so I'm going to go back and do the thumb. Trying to keep it just on the knuckle so it's not spread out too far. And then sometimes the thumb has a little spot and sometimes it doesn't. I can see it on this one. Let me see. Yeah, this one has it too. Okay. I always forget the thumb. It's a finger too, and I just forget it every time. Now, when you're doing like the closed fist, oof, make sure it's not so blunt. Okay, when you're doing a closed fist, there's quite a bit of circulation there. So you want to kind of pink that up just a little bit. And that's also part of the palm. You want to make sure you do this joint so it'll come over kind of into here, like the side, like you would do on the side of the thumb. Okay, we're going to do the elbow. Get a little bit more color. Stir that up. Oh, much better. So it's pretty thin. It's kind of like a wash. You can see a little bit. Now it'll dry lighter than that, but that's okay. I'm not gonna do, I got a big yawn. Oh, I'm not gonna do Leo on camera. But, you know, every doll's the same. So. Toes. And if I didn't stay on camera with the fingers, I do apologize. I wasn't paying attention. I do all of the toe, like all the way to where it connects to the foot. And I don't worry about painting over the nail. Whenever I pounce it, it's gonna cover it anyway. And I like using little tiny brushes like this to paint over the blushing area so that I can control it a little better. And the big toe's no different. And I'm going to accentuate where it connects. You guys see that? And don't forget to go back over it with your crease brush if you think that it's pooling in the corners and in the little crevices, like especially the toes, like where it's deeper there. I'm going to go back over it here in just a bit. I really like that this is not very dark. So I can always go back over it. And I want to bring this down just a little bit here on that toe joint. Go up just a little. And then I'm going to go over those creases. Joint, ankle bone. Good grief, ankle bone. My brain just had a moment in it. Now I'm only going to stay on the side because by the time I get done pouncing, it's going to naturally come over anyway. That knuckle too. Try to keep the tip of your brush close to where you want it, as far out as you want it to go, and then go back over it so you can control where you're putting your paint. And just pounce until it doesn't look as wet. And if you want to add more, add just a little more at a time, because like I said, this thing spreads it out quite a bit, just like when you add your makeup. And if you don't like how sharp a line that it's making, take out where you think it's too far and then pounce again. And it should blend it in. I'm going to go over the toes again since they've dried a little bit. And make sure I get those little creases It connects to the foot. I'm going to hit all of the pads, the whole surface area. I hit right there again. Try to stay subtle. Hopefully this is not sideways for you guys. My camera stopped and I had to turn it back on. Go back over your creases, make sure they're not pooling in there. If you need to make a second swipe, go ahead. Wait till it dries a little bit before you do though. Otherwise you're going to be pouncing off what's on there that you want to keep. And I'm going to hit like that ankle again. So I'm pouncing until it doesn't look as wet. I'm going to go back over and do this crease on top. I'm going to let that bottom dry just a little bit. Add some color to the knee, just like we did the elbow. And this is going to make the base of the red on the knee. There we go. I want some color on there. Don't spread it out too far. Just want a little bit of red. Okay, that's still kind of wet, so I'm going to let that dry just a little bit, and then I'll come back over and do the top of the ankle. All right, next little putty, little tootie. Here we go. Cover the whole surface area. If you don't like the whole toe being blush like that, that's okay. You can do just the knuckles. But make sure you definitely do the little toe pads. Ooh, what in the world? Oh, I see why it's acting that way. Like battery's about to fail. Well, let's go until we can't go anymore, and then when it fails, it fails. I don't have my charger cord on me. I didn't realize my camera was, the battery on my camera was so low. Okay. What I'm going to do is put this aside, and then I'll come back once my camera is charged and we'll do more. But so far this is Looking pretty good. All right, I'll be back in a little bit.